Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really diving into a big question. What does work actually look like in, say, 2025? And how do we all get ready for it?
Exactly. And we've got some really interesting sources lined up.
Yeah, we've pulled together quite a mix. Everything from, LinkedIn posts with some sharp takes to a glossary for the creator economy.
And even a book that's pretty bold, declaring employment is dead. Quite the statement.
Right. So the mission today is to sift through all this and pull out the key insights, the actionable stuff about where work is headed.
And it feels like there's a real convergence happening in these sources. You see this consistent theme around, well, digital skills, remote work,
The creator economy taking off.
AI becoming, more and more central, and this kind of fundamental questioning of the old 9 to 5 model.
Okay, let's kick off with that digital shift then. Karen Rose on LinkedIn, he's really pushing this idea of a digital-first mindset being crucial for next year.
Yeah. Not just helpful, but essential.
Exactly. He's saying you need to actively look for ways to apply digital tools within your current job. Like literally using Google or AI to figure out how.
Which is very practical advice. It's not just theory.
Right. And he mentions the appeal of remote work, digital nomad visas too, especially, he points out, for people in places like the Caribbean, giving them access to global markets, stronger currencies.
And that's a key part of his roadmap, isn't it? Don't just wait, be proactive, find those digital angles yourself.
Yeah.
And it links to that bigger trend. He mentions digital nomadism. Work isn't tied to one place anymore. That offers so much flexibility.
Absolutely. And then you have Martin Zittua also on LinkedIn, sort of echoing that urgency. He's talking about how fast everything is changing, careers, money, how we live, even relationships.
It's a lot.
It is. He highlights AI, content creation, digital marketing, remote work, all these areas growing rapidly. And his message is basically adapt your thinking, get those digital skills.
It feels like he's saying the future isn't on the horizon. It's kind of already landed.
Yeah, we need to catch up. He gives real examples too, like a coder in Kenya working for a Silicon Valley company or designer in India with clients in Europe. It's happening now.
And what Atua's post really underlines, I think, is how the internet and these tools are leveling the playing field.
Right.
Your skills matter more than where you physically are, or maybe even your traditional qualifications, which, of course, brings up that question of continuous learning, doesn't it?
Definitely. If things change this fast, how do you keep your skills relevant?
Good point. Yeah.
Okay, so shifting gears just a little, there's this post from Bug-Free Immigration. They're announcing a huge investment in UK tech, £63 billion.
Wow, that's significant.
Yeah, and they predict it'll create almost 38,000 jobs, a lot of focus on AI and green tech.
So that really puts some economic muscle behind this digital shift, at least in the UK. It signals where governments, or at least the UK government, see future growth. And while remote work is global, these big investments can create real hotspots for innovation,
Concentrated opportunities.
Exactly, especially in those specific fields, AI, green tech. If you're thinking about careers, that's a useful signal for where demand might be high.
Right. Now, Vishwa Jayantadhiraj on LinkedIn, his perspective is, well, it's more philosophical, almost revolutionary maybe.
Oh, so?
He talks about digital nomadism and AI, not just as trends, but as like potential solutions to unemployment. Ways to totally reinvent work culture, our lifestyles.
Okay, that's ambitious.
Yeah. He has this concept, work for people, not for individuals. And a startup, Digital Nomadians, trying to help people actually make that transition to being digital nomads.
Work for people, not for individuals.
That's interesting. It sounds like it challenges the whole top-down company structure.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got.
More about collaboration, contributing skills directly to projects or communities, maybe using some of those decentralized technologies we hear about.
Could be. It definitely connects with some ideas in that Employment is Dead book, moving away from the standard employer-employee thing. Right. And speaking of connections, Mick Murphy's post gives a very concrete example of this global aspect.
Ah, yeah, the Innovate UK Bridge AI program.
Exactly. Linking UK businesses doing AI for transport and mobility with opportunities over in Singapore.
It shows how these international tech partnerships are actually being built, doesn't it?
It does. And it highlights how specific it can get. It's not just one big digital economy. It's these focused ecosystems, specific collaborations, creating niche opportunities, AI and mobility, UK, Singapore. Very targeted.
Okay, so we've talked about the shifts, the opportunities, But what about the language? There's this whole new vocabulary emerging, right?
Absolutely. Which brings us to Navin Moazez's glossary.
Yeah, the 200-plus creator economy glossary terms. It's like a dictionary for this whole space. And it's a huge space projected to hit $480 billion next year.
That number is staggering.
Isn't it? And the glossary covers everything. Technical terms, community stuff. Moses really stresses building the right audience, not just a big one.
Quality over quantity. Engagement.
Exactly. An engaged group is key.
Yeah.
And having systems to actually monetize your work sustainably. Oh, and he mentions hashtag no-code tools, too.
Ah, yes. The rise of no code. That's democratizing things, isn't it?
Totally. Letting people build websites, apps, automate things without needing to be hardcore coders. It lowers the barrier to entry for participating online.
Moazez's glossary really shows how professional the creator world has become. It's not just a hobby anymore. It's a complex ecosystem.
For sure.
And that point about the right audience, not just big numbers, that's crucial. It's about genuine connection being the real value.
Okay, and then finally we have these excerpts from Employment is Dead, which, as you said, is a pretty provocative title.
It definitely grabs your attention.
It does. And the argument is pretty radical, the traditional 9-to-5 model. It's becoming obsolete, they argue.
Why? What's their reasoning?
Well, they point to how disengaged so many people are in typical jobs. You know, that statistic about only a small fraction of employees actually feeling engaged.
Yeah, I've seen figures like that. It's pretty concerning.
Right. So the book champions technologies like AI, blockchain, that decentralized ledger system, and Web3.
Which is aiming for a more user-owned internet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They see these as tools to build a different future of work. More decentralized, more human-focused, maybe more fulfilling.
So things like blockchain and Web3 are seen as foundational because they allow for more transparency, more individual ownership online.
That seems to be the idea. They even mentioned DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations.
Right, those online communities run by code, not managers.
Yeah, less hierarchy, more collective action.
So this book is really pushing us to fundamentally question how we think about work. That disengagement statistic alone highlights a major issue with the current system. And they see these decentralized techs not just as gadgets, but as enablers for more autonomy, flexibility, maybe even fairer ways of working.
Yeah, like you said, less like a company with bosses, maybe more like a project where everyone chips in their skills and shares the rewards more directly. So when we try to pull all this together, what's the big picture for you, the listener?
Well, it seems pretty clear that work is undergoing a massive transformation, a huge flux.
Driven by all these digital forces we've been talking about, digital skills aren't just optional anymore, are they? They're becoming the baseline.
Absolutely. You need them just to navigate. And the creator economy, it offers really exciting ways to, maybe turn passions or skills into income.
But it needs strategy, like Moazez pointed out.
Right. It's not automatic. And the very definition of employment is being challenged. We might be moving towards more flexible, maybe project-based, human-centric work.
Yeah.
The common thread, I think, through all these sources is the need to be proactive, adaptable.
You can't just sit back.
No. Whether you're thinking about changing careers or building a side hustle or just trying to understand what's going on, you need to embrace digital tools, think globally, and just keep learning. That seems essential for the next few years.
Okay, so that leads us to our final thought for you to take away. Considering everything we've discussed, AI's growth, this booming creator economy, the move towards potentially decentralized work, what single digital skill do you think will be the most valuable one to develop over the next year, regardless of what field you're in now?
And maybe more importantly, what's one small step, just an initial step you could take today, right now, to start building that skill?
Something to think about. That wraps up this deep dive.